All right. One's in the chat if I'm live. I still am not entirely sure if I am live on these things. Especially because you have to wait like 10, 15 seconds before people start responding.
Entirely sure.
Oh, well, now I know I'm on because I'm double streaming. Give me a second to fix that.
You have to wait like 10, 15 seconds before people start responding.
Let's see. Oh, well, now I know I'm on because All right, I guess that fixed itself. Just getting all these settings correct is like impossible. I gotta like close all my tabs, make sure the camera's on, turn on all the lights, make sure everything's switched over auditorially. It's like a lot to remember. Thinking I should just have some sort of checklist or something like that. I did intend to be on time today, but whoops. This is probably the most late I've been. I just doesn't like it as long as I'm not like an hour late or 2 hours late. Louder. Oh, another thing I had to fix is make sure my microphone's actually closer to my face. Let's see how that affects the screen. I'm still too lazy to put the microphone arm on so that I can have it close to my face without it being too obstructive. I'm not sure if my desk is actually too small for that, but my desk wobbles, if you can hear that on the microphone. Not really, but there's a little creaking sound that is pissing me off. But the only way to fix the creaking sound is to take the entire desk apart, flip it over, and tighten the screws on the bottom side. So, anyway, that's a project I'm not looking forward to. Fresh and Fit talked about me. I guess that's cool. Whatever. It's hard to oh, they have 4-hour streams, so I'm not going to go look for that. Do I read my Patreon messages? Sometimes, not really. Yeah, maybe once a month typically. I do go through them, but in terms of messaging, especially through my business email or my request email, I look at all this, especially, here's probably the great time to promote this. One of the best ways you can support this channel, yes, of course, donating is great, but one of the best ways you can support the channel is actually free, which is just sending me content to review. If there's some video that you think would fit the channel, certainly send that to me. Videos are always appreciated. I don't respond to every single one of those emails because I used to do that, and it would take hours just to go through 3 or 4 emails. But I do read all of them. So just because I didn't respond doesn't mean I didn't see it. And that goes in general, whether that's on Twitter or the emails that I use for requests and stuff like that. Let's see. All right, well, now that everything's kind of set up, let me introduce the stream. For the people who always love to say, think of the children. Children are our future. Don't want to have any children harmed in this way. They're doing so much to harm children as long as it fits their narrative. And so one of the recent things that has happened in this space is a person named, God, I forgot the person's name. Let me bring that up. Eli Ehrlich, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce that person's name, is basically the new Keffels at this point. Let me just throw a video up to introduce this person once I figure out how to do that on Streamlabs. All right, there we go. And let's see. If the volume ends up being too low, just write a message to bother me in the chat. I think the volume was a little bit too low last stream. Is the volume still too low on the microphone? Do I need to turn that up? Let's see. Can I talk about the school system? Haven't I already talked about the school system a lot? I talked about it in the other, my first or second, my first or second stream. I think school is great for math and English. Now the mic audio is already maxed out. I don't like changing it on the interface because I have a very particular spot that I like to have it at when I record videos. And this stupid interface doesn't have hash marks on it so I can remember where I was. A simple you have a dial here and you put lines around the dial so I can remember where I was would be super helpful, but somebody didn't think to do that. No, I haven't looked into Cyrax. Is it a good or bad rabbit hole? All right, that should be loud enough. Let's introduce Eli for a second. Let's see, make sure this pops up properly. All right, put that up there before I actually showed the video. There we go. All right. Anyway.
Every month for the past several years.
That's probably too low. Let me bring that way up there. Let's try that again.
Every month for the past several years, I've ordered a double dose of hormones and testosterone blockers. I save all the extra pills for my best friends, my closest lovers, and my worst enemies. I just hope these little pills can bring some joy into their lives. I have the opportunity to give life-saving medication to people who need it, and it basically costs me nothing. A few months ago, I posted on Instagram asking for testosterone for a friend who actually already had a prescription. His doctor was out of town, and he could.
By the way, outside of what's coming up next, welcome to the black market. I'm sure a lot of people would love an insight to get testosterone supplements, especially in the fitness market. So I bet you it's going to be all about, helping the children right now. And then when this person finds out how much they can make on drug trafficking to actual people who want to buy the drugs, holy crap, I'm sure their tune will change.
Get a new one. Within hours, my story
Oh, complaining about being banned for admitting to drug trafficking. That's great.
was taken down, and I received a warning by the administrators. Now, of course, I know it's against Instagram rules to share substances, and I wasn't particularly surprised that it was removed. But I was still upset. So yeah, I know it's illegal, duh. So was changing my social security to female without medical treatment. So was crossing the street outside my apartment instead of using the crosswalk.
Yeah, that's why is that person so willing and open just to admit to crimes, like especially a pretty bad crime like drug trafficking? Someone was saying it's like a Schedule 3 drug. That is a huge deal. Like especially federally. Read some super chats. So I think I've actually read all the super chats. Solomon Perry super chatted $2. Thanks. Have a good night. You taught me a lot. All right, thank you. All right, so that video was posted, and then at some point, other material was brought up from this person. I think, let's see. Problem is none of this stuff's dated, so I have no idea when it happened. I think a lot of these have been deleted, so I'll just have to rely on people's archiving, because I became aware of this much after this happened. So this person creates a drug trafficking scandal, and then says there are over 20 states trying to criminalize hormone therapy, especially for trans youth. So minors, by the way, sending these drugs to minors. So my friends and I had an idea, sending out our extra prescriptions around the world. If you need hormones, I'm working with a distribution network to get you access. What kind of distribution network would that be? Everything is free, no questions asked. I mean, even if you have the best intentions, let's say everything this person is doing is morally correct, it's only going to be about 5 seconds before people who want steroids for muscular growth are just going to consume all the drugs, and then their operation is going to be over. This no questions asked here. We have hundreds of doses of testosterone, estradiol, and however you pronounce that, spironolactone, available now. All are prescribed by doctors, unused. Each package comes with information on dosage and obtaining blood work. On that note, there's a Blair White video about this person out, and apparently hormone therapy needs to be very well calculated. So if you're not with a doctor doing this stuff, it can be quite dangerous, allegedly. So probably not a smart idea to tell people to take drugs that are dangerous without a doctor's advice. I realize this is only a band-aid solution. We need full access to affirmative medical care from professionals immediately. I'm guessing this person wants that to go to children, because there already is that for adults. However, there's missing a single dose of hormones can be devastating, especially for trans teens, those new to hormones, again, children. These are laws that are outrageous, and I can't wait for them to be overturned. In the meantime, I'm going to drug traffic and commit a federal crime to give minors drugs without their parents' consent. Great person there. Think of the children. Let's see. Let's see, $5 super chat from, God, people need to like phonetically spell out their name when they do super chats. Vercintorix? Just throw the super chat up there. Anyway, their vocal cadence alone tells you everything you need to know about them. Yeah, sometimes that does. Let's see. Frail Boys has super chatted $5. You have a great channel. Great to see people here fighting the good fight. Keep some logic in the mix. Cheers. Mandorian. $1 super chat. Love the content. Thank you. Welcome to super chats. They speak moon runes. Oh yeah. No, that's not really moon runes. You need to put up like a language I can't actually read. Okay. So that happened, and then Libs of TikTok obviously got involved. Matt Walsh got involved. By the way, if you guys saw that Sydney Watson debate, people kept like a million people told me to cover the Sydney Watson like Vice debate where she was on and a bunch of ridiculous stuff happened. The reason I did not cover that is just it was just a bunch of woke people saying the same crap they always say, and it was just like there's nothing like I'm going to talk about the wage gap for the 15th million time and talk about how it's terrible science. I don't see that happening. Or I'm going to talk about a bunch of other stuff that's already been said on the channel. No, that's not really anything new. But that person, let's see. This one right here was in that debate. So about modern feminism, or do you believe feminism is real? Whatever the prompt for that topic was. Oh, another confirmation that this person is purposefully trying to drug traffic 2 children, and then like saying trans youth and like using a very spurious term. It's like, well, I don't want to say children because when I say the word youth, a youth could be like 18 or 19. But if I say child, that's going to imply like a 9-year-old or a 12-year-old. Like, what if a 12-year-old DMs this person on Discord and then gets access to these drugs? No questions asked, right? After reading about the sickening news of Texas directive against trans youth, I will personally mail. What does that mean, by the way? Is it just saying that, hey, maybe you should wait, or maybe children shouldn't have access to drugs that will permanently alter their genetics before they have time to make a full decision? Like, I would rather give a child a tattoo. At least with a tattoo, you can get it removed. A lot of these changes cannot be reversed, depending on what drugs you're taking, and depending on how long you take them. I will personally mail estradiol and that, or God, I need doctors, spironolactone and lactone to anyone worried about the government coming after your kids. F you, to Greg Abbott. And I would. This is Twitter, so it's probably not the best place to give a full description. But it's like I love how they describe these like, oh, this is what's happening, and then when you actually look into the full nuance of the situation, you would never agree with what their breakdown of it. Tattoos are pretty easy to remove as long as they're not blue. I believe, well, this might be old information, but as far as I'm aware, the color blue is very, very difficult to remove for some reason. I could be wrong in that, though. But at least you can. At least you can do something about that. Whereas if you're sterilized, with current technology, there's nothing you can do about that. And then talking about free advertising. Sending life-saving hormones to those in need is going very well. Thanks to free advertising, you've helped dozens more people access meds in the last couple of weeks. Appreciate your gracious support as always. How do you pronounce her name? The girl who runs Libs of TikTok, Chaya? Or that's something I should already know off the top of my head, but I don't. So I feel like bad for not taking a chance in that last name. But like I said, I keep wondering, like, why does this person have the audacity just to openly, like, you know. One more thing. Again, addressing that this person is trafficking drugs to children, committing a very, very deep. The video just disappeared. Let me bring that back up. I know you guys can see what's going on there, but just fully admitting to drug trafficking to children. Just the sending drugs is illegal, but then doing it to children makes it even worse. All right. So I kept asking, like, why does like people like Keffels, like where Keffels lives, why do people like Keffels feel like it's okay just to openly admit to crimes? Why does like Eliza Blue feel like it's openly she's open to admit that she's doing a lot of wrong stuff or doing lots of stupid things out in the open? Then you kind of look where this person, why did that come up? Where this person lives, and of course, before I show it on screen, take a guess at where this person lives if you don't already know. To figure how long the chat delays to see how long I should keep my mouth shut. California, Los Angeles, California. That's a good guess. I would have guessed San Francisco probably. Somebody got it right. New York. Lives in New York. As much as I love this, we need a more covert way. What the hell? I forgot about that. As much as I love this, Maryland and Oregon, Portland. Yeah, I could see Oregon would be one of the usual suspects, or Washington, the Twilight Zone. Florida. This wouldn't happen in Florida. Florida's kind of a purple state, but it wouldn't. Like it seems like the safest place would be like California or New York here. Anyway, in response, this person said, whoever this is, as much as I love this, we need more covert ways of reaching those in need. More covert way, like, think of the context of what's being said here. They're going to give drugs to children without their parents' consent, and they're trying to ask for more covert ways to go about it. If you just change this to, we need more covert ways to get access to children because children should be able to consent to adult relationships or something like that, which is a lot of the postmodernists seem to have that sort of belief. So looking for more covert ways. So imagine they solve this, and then every sort of predator is going to find a way to abuse whatever system they figure out, and they would like integrate into the distribution network, and then they would just prey on children. And not only would they be trafficked drugs, but they would be exposed to a lot of other things. Openly announcing yeah, thank you. I guess Eli is helping. Openly announcing such things leads to state making it illegal and punishable by law. Well, it's already illegal and punishable by law. Just look at what Texas did with abortion beds. As soon as organizations announce similar offerings, well, that's not quite the same thing. I completely agree. Just as this is just a band-aid solution, as something that will have to be solved on the cultural level someday. I hope we manufacture strong estrogens ourselves, so we won't have to depend on pharmacies at all. Wasn't Keffels trying to teach people how to do that, like by burning down plastic bags or something like that? Again, a crime, again, that's predatory towards children. It's like preying on children is in the meta these days with some of this content creation. I hope someday we can make blah, blah. As for visibility, well, it's a double-edged sword. Without it, too few would know about the resources. With it, I'm taking a risk for granted a very minimal one, being in New York City. Why would that be why would drug trafficking to children be a minimal risk in New York City? Recipients are very unlikely to face any legal blowback because who's to say I'm not just shipping myself a prescription? Why is this person... I have a little bit more faith in the world. I don't believe this person is so stupid that they would openly admit to a crime and how they are carrying out that crime, so it would be super easy to investigate. So I don't think this person is stupid. I think they're just arrogant. Because they know that New York City is not going to enforce any of the laws. I mean, look at this stuff. Like how many child drag shows do we have to watch before the police actually start arresting people for running strip shows in front of children? I'm not going to show it because I don't know if it's YouTube safe. But I saw one on Libs of TikTok today where you could see a person doing a strip dance in front of children where they had like toys on the ground that the kids were playing with, not really paying attention to the dance, but they were in the environment of a strip club and they like led them in with candy and toys to get the kids to participate. If that doesn't say child predator, I don't know what does. Sea King super chatted $2 covert, not a complicated name, but here Sea King, thank you. Cadillac Smith says $5 as a gay man. I see this creeping into our community. It worries me. Why are people thinking about other people's children? It makes you think. Yeah, it's a little weird that a lot of this stuff has been, maybe it was just about, hey, maybe if my partner goes to the hospital, I should be able to legally sign off on his medical issues because we've been in a committed relationship for 15 years. First of all, it's just about that. Now it's gone in this really weird direction. Kyle Hare, $2. Your videos are amazing. I look up to you a lot. Thank you. So how much of this stuff? This is a literal crime, and they're talking about a sexual dance in front of children. I believe this is the same person that I can't see their face, and I was stupid and forgot to go back to the video. But I believe this is the same person that I talked about in a video that I made probably 2 years ago, trying to tell children what twerking is.
Being saved. Michael went on to do great things. He taught twerking in schools. He started a new fitness.
We taught twerking in schools. Why would you need to teach twerking in schools? And looking at the audience, okay, well maybe it's to teenagers. Now, an adult teacher teaching teenagers a sexual dance is a little weird and inappropriate. It's extremely inappropriate when you consider that the audience is like 10 and probably not even 10 years old. Maybe we got like 6 and 7-year-olds here, and some are like 2-year-olds. All right, anyway.
Phenomenon called twerk to 20. No one sure if it
Laughing? What the fuck are you laughing at that for?
works or not, but they're giving money for it anyway. And he became the first Olympic athlete to win a gold medal for twerking. Michael was a national hero. All because he followed his heart. All because he was true to himself.
Like, that is one of the most predatory things I've seen in quite a while. They're like aggrandizing a sexual dance in front of children. A very, very sexual dance. There's no way you can argue that twerking is non-sexual. It's designed to get people to stare at your ass. She looks like she belongs in the Hunger Games. Kind of like Smith, it was never about partnerships. It was always about advancing an agenda. Maybe that's done quite a lot. Maybe it's like people have good intentions, and then a bunch of other people in the astroturf space say, "Hey, this is going in one direction. Let's use it to we can take this angle here, this angle here, this angle here," and they can say, "Well, what if there's a teacher that's gay?" They would have to explain that, and then they use that to like, okay, well now we have to explain a relationship. Well, what's a gay relationship? Oh, now we have to explain anal sex to like 8-year-olds because they need to understand the difference between a gay and a straight relationship. They don't need to understand shit. I mean, my teachers, I'm pretty sure, just looking back to it, I'm pretty sure I had a teacher who was a lesbian when I was 9, didn't say shit. I had teachers who were straight when I was young. They didn't say anything about their relationships because it's not appropriate. You shouldn't be talking about it at all. Maybe you can talk about it if the kids are in high school and if it's relevant to something, a part of the conversation, maybe. But generally, I think people shouldn't bring up their teachers shouldn't bring up their personal relationships at all. And what's weird is that a lot of this is becoming more about some cultural, some political agenda as opposed to just teaching kids. Like I saw this, and as someone who's been teaching for many, many years, I mean, I haven't taught in like a school classroom, but I've been teaching yoga, doing YouTube, which is basically teaching. I've been doing this for years. I would never say something like this. Let's bring this up here. What is it? Is that good enough? I don't think this goes over. Oh yeah, let me. Is there a way to like X myself out? I'll just do this, and then we'll do that. We'll do the be right back. Can I mute the mic? All right, we're back. Let's bring that full screen back. Yeah, I'm still a little bit sick, so I might have to blow my nose a couple times during the stream. My voice is quite a bit better than it was last time, though. So I feel a little bit. Anyway, let's play this. This is another, I think probably Lib's a TikTok post.
So today was our first day back from spring break, and I told all my students that my pronouns are they, them, and that my honorific is mix. A few of my students had some questions, and we were able to talk about those. But I wanted to tell you about 2 of my students that just made my heart sing and made me feel so validated. One of them, she put in the chat, I'm so proud of you. And then one of my other students, maybe like half an hour after we had talked about that, had a question and put in the...
I'm wondering if are they still doing like the Zoom classes for school? Like 3 years post-COVID? Okay. Or maybe they have maybe they have group chats, because I mean, when I was in college 10 years ago, they still had group chat, or they were starting the group chat thing. I'm sure that system is a lot more advanced these days.
Chat, mix, da-da-da-da-da, here's my question. And it was just so validating to see mix pop up on the screen instead of miss, and it made my day.
Okay. I don't know how old these students are. It seems like, maybe, I don't know, they can use a computer. Maybe they're a little bit young. But I would never say as a teacher, I'm so glad a proper pronoun or a proper honorific was used before my name. That's what validates me. What should validate you as a teacher is I taught a lesson and the students were able to repeat the lesson in their own words and show that they mastered the course. What gives me validation as a YouTuber, as someone who teaches on YouTube or philosophy or in weight loss stuff, is when someone says in a comment video, in the comments section of my video, hey, I watched this video a year ago. I went from 250 pounds to 185 pounds. Thank you for teaching me how to lose weight. And that's validating. I'm not going to be validated on whether they call me the right name or not. I'm validated based on, or should be validated based on whether the people are actually learning what you're teaching them. Surprised Hassan hasn't stole your stream content. I mean, Hassan has reacted to me, but he actually did it in a fair use way, so I don't have a problem with his reaction. I mean, obviously, I had criticisms of some of the things he said, but as far as my legal knowledge goes, it was all fair use. It wasn't just him booting well, except for the part where he left to go to the bathroom or something like that. I mean, that wasn't fair use. Will I am super chatted $2. Thank you for your work. Is it Fry Boy? Put that on screen. Full-time teacher, 12 months a year. $2 super chat. Authenticity seeker. One can never be something you're not. Only, I mean, less of you who. Let me try that one again. One can never be something you're not, so you can only be less of who you are. Maybe I agree. Maybe I don't agree. Albatross $5 super chat. What is their obsession with praise and validation? I don't know. Why do they need attention from strangers so badly? I don't know. I think a lot of this is my unprofessional opinion, narcissistic personality. I mean, some of these people are like, okay, not only do you have to memorize this new pronoun, but some of them are like, I change my pronouns on varying parts of the day, and if you don't address me by the proper pronoun on whatever thing I'm identifying right now, I'm going to get pissed off at you. That is super narcissistic. To not only change a major part of people's language, but to interactively change parts of people's language based on how you feel that at that point in the day. Not to super chat at $5. Thank you. Is that from Final Fantasy 15? I played that game for like 5 minutes. It's like the boy band Final Fantasy. All right, let's move on. Wow, has it already been 30 minutes almost? That was fast. Oh, I'm sure some of you people saw this too. Like, remember, this is a political flag. This is a very political agenda, and they have a kids' soccer team. A political agenda that is around sexuality, and I don't know, these girls are maybe 10 or 11. That's still fairly prepubescent. This is what I've always wondered, is that I've heard a lot of people say that people are supposed, or even like in the past, men and women are supposed to go through puberty around 16 or 17. And that's probably the minimal age where you're sexually mature enough to handle that kind of relationship. So if that's the case, why scientifically some people are going through puberty at like 11 or something like that, or way earlier than they used to, if that's true. But anyway, these girls look prepubescent. Why are they holding a flag that represents sexuality? Why does this have any part of the conversation? And someone says Yuri Bezmenov. Yeah, maybe. Big Enos in the building. T-Bar salute. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Does YouTube give you an option for $1.99? Or do you have to type that in? Let's see. Let's go back. Oh, and here's one thing. So I've been waiting to talk about this for a while, so sorry if this is old. But some of you might remember this commercial from, it's a year and a half ago. This commercial from Mars, which is the company that owns M&M's, Twix, and a lot of, do they own Snickers? I don't think they own Snickers. But they own a lot of the candy that people eat, and a lot of the candy that children eat. And then, so 2 years ago, they posted this Halloween ad. Now, it features a male child in a dress, and he wants to wear a dress because that's how it makes him feel. We don't even have to focus on that part of the video for this video to be extremely bad. Like, this video basically features a child predator ignoring. So while we're watching this, ignore the fact that this person isn't, that the child's in a dress. So for those of you who don't, who watch this. All right, so there we go.
Twix presents Bite-Size Halloween.
Man, child predation is in the meta. Like I don't know how this went from this went from equal rights to now we need to impose everything on children before they're ready to talk about this stuff. It's very, very weird that it's gone in this direction in the period of just a couple of years. Oh, actually forgot. Yeah, I lost the original video. I couldn't find it before the stream, so I had to look for a re-upload. But I've saved this video basically since it released.
Hi. I'm your new nanny.
I don't need a nanny.
All right, let's stop it right there. Remember that Twix and Mars and M&Ms are, hopefully, well, these are candies that are eaten by children. Let me stop at a different point so it's not just a black screen. There we go. So kids are supposed to watch this ad. Now, the appropriate response to a stranger at the door is exactly what this kid did. Now, we have to ask, why is he alone by himself in the house? But I don't know who you are. My parents aren't here. F off. But let's see what happens next.
Well, your parents seem to think you do.
So, again, ignore the LGBT agenda here, and just know the fact that he said, "No, F off, you're not going into my house," and she breaks an entry and says, "Oh, well, your parents said," any child predator would be like, "Oh, I talked to your parents. They said you can come in the van. Here, take this candy." And ironically, using candy in this case to promote child predation, where this is everything my parents told me to avoid when I was a kid. Mars is doing in this commercial. Just think about this stuff before you buy anything that, fortunately some people are addicted to certain things, but think about this stuff before you buy anything that Mars owns, and they own a lot of candy. Not only that, there's the political message, but all that candy's poison anyway. At the very least, you should eat it very sparingly and not on a regular basis.
What's your favorite color?
Black.
Other than black.
Oh, charcoal.
All right, here's another good scene.
Why are you all dressed up? It's not Halloween yet.
Can I help you?
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Do you want to find out?
That's threatening a child. Threatening a child. Again, ignore the agenda. They're asking a question. They're trying to ask for clarification because kids ask questions all the time, and it's like, "Oh, do you want to? Let me create tense music and rush the wind. Let me change the weather to intimidate you not to ask further." This is child abuse that they're promoting in a commercial that was probably for children. Yes, this is a real commercial, by the way. People are saying it is real. And it was, I'm pretty sure it was on YouTube for quite a while, but it's obviously taken down. I've archived it. I just couldn't find where I archived it.
You buckled?
I'm still wearing my princess.
So now we're... Not only have we had this child predator in the breaking an entry, we're now going off into a car with the predator.
Dress.
Do you want to wear it?
Pretending that she's the kid's friend. God, a 6-hour stream? That sounds like a long time. Maybe like a 2-hour stream.
Hey, you! Princess! You look like a girl. Why are you wearing that?
Dressing like this makes me feel good.
Is that your...
I'm sorry, does this kid have like a gun to his head? This is... you would think that Mars, a company that has a shitload of money, we could afford better acting, but it's like, look how he says this. It's like, I'm being forced to say this stuff.
You look like a girl. Why are you wearing that?
Dressing like this makes me feel good.
Did I get the political message right, Daddy or Mommy? and like looking at the adult for validation, like the person, like the kid's getting the message from the adult. Like obviously, it's not how that kid feels.
Is that your nanny? She looks weird. You look weird, your nanny looks weird, you guys are both weird.
No, we're just different.
Boys don't wear dresses.
Whoa!
Whoa! Where is it coming from? What's happening? Help!
Whoa!
Yeah, did she just kill that kid? Cape flapping.
We should go.
Like it basically admitting that she has done something wrong. She just physically assaulted that kid with wind and possibly killed him. It's what makes corn syrup so bad for you and why? I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist, but it's certainly like high fructose corn stuff and stuff like that. Like I remember when I first started learning about diet. Oh geez, a long time ago, 12 years ago, something like that. Because I used to have a horrendous diet. But I just switched from high fructose corn syrup to products that had cane sugar, and even though it still had a ton of processed sugar into it, it was way easier to not overeat just from making that small change. Like high fructose corn syrup is majorly addictive. He doesn't need a nanny, he needs a father figure. $2 super chat from Sage Lobster. Let's see. I think it's all of them.
Will he come back?
Yeah, probably.
Still admitting that a crime was just committed. Happy Halloween by Twix. And like, very much like the B team produced this commercial. The thing that makes you not want to believe that this is real is that these graphics are so horribly done. Like, it's hard to believe that a multi-billion-dollar company produced this commercial. Was this banned? Probably not. I wish I had. Oh, one thing that you'll notice here is that I was dumb and did not get this book before the stream because I didn't think of it. But there is a popular children's book called Jacob's New Dress. And, I did go over it in a video. I went over in that same video that referenced the drag queen story hour thing. And so, Jacob's New Dress, a book for children about how a young boy likes to wear a dress. And you'll notice that every male in that book is the villain. The father's the villain for saying he shouldn't wear the dress. The bullies are all men. Anybody who is good is female. Now, notice that in this case, I know they do this on purpose because they always talk about it, is that with the kids, the ones who are just asking the question are the girls. Like, oh, yeah, what's that? I don't really understand this. The one who's the bully is the boy. That is intentional. That's not just like, oh, this is how we're doing. It just happened to be this way. No, that is intentional. Let's see. So there's like a Pantene commercial somewhere that I lost that was basically like the same thing. This must come from Left Twix. Seriously weird how open. So my problem is that I have this little interface here on Streamlabs. I still don't fully understand how this stuff works, and so sometimes super chats don't appear on the interface. So let me just read this one as it appears on YouTube. This John Barello. This must come from Left Twix. Seriously, it's seriously weird how open all these corporations are. Yeah, it's really weird that we're just seeing this all in the open. Very much clown world. Nati, welcome to it. Did I already read that one? No, I didn't. Nati, $2 super chat. This commercial was made by diversity hires. It looks like it because, like, I know it's hard to get kids to act properly and like in movies and stuff like that, but the acting was so terrible. It's like they're not using any professionals here. Fellow believer, $20 super chat. Love the videos. May you never stop speaking the truth. Thank you. $50 super chat. Thank you. Official Contras. Keep up the good work. TBOS. Stay prudent, men. Okay. Next thing. All right, which brings us to geez, the creepier and creepier end of this is that, oh god, my legs hurt. Need like a little break. Need like a water break. Give me a second. We're thinking about children here. Let's see. Thank God I don't watch TV anymore. I don't. Does anybody watch TV who isn't over 50 these days? I mean, my parents are almost in their 60s and they haven't watched TV in years. I haven't watched TV in probably 6 or 7 years. There's no point. Like, why would I want to watch a bunch of commercials? Like, at least on YouTube, if you're watching a commercial, it's 5 seconds, not a whole like 9 minutes per 30 minutes of content. YouTube, you might see 30 seconds of ads for a 30-minute video. Like, that's if there's a lot. And again, where are the police in all of this? How come these family-friendly drag shows aren't just being raided by the police? But here's where more weird stuff happens. Is that how to describe this? Well, people always wonder why I learned Japanese. And a part of it is because I've been a fan of anime for a long, long time, been a fan of video games. And, of course, like anybody, you want to play this in the original material. I actually wanted to work for one of the major game design companies in Japan when I was younger. And that's why I started learning. I found out the truth of some of that stuff way, way later, that it's not actually that great. And a lot of these companies are starting to, like Square Enix has started to go more woke, which is crazy because Japan's been pretty resilient to that stuff, especially in anime and manga. But it's not to say that anime and manga doesn't have its own issue or their own issues. And so a reason why I've been learning Japanese is so I can actually talk to some of these people who create these projects and get them to stop doing this shit, if that's possible. But anyway, in the VTubing sector, in the anime sector, this happened recently, where there's a lot of really like stuff that's just like inconsequential, like it doesn't matter. This is just people wearing a digital avatar and they're playing video games, whatever. But then there's also like really weird stuff like, how do you pronounce it, Gaogura? People just call it Gura or Guar because it's spelled like Gwar or something like that. But recently, there was a lot of controversy around this. Let's bring that up. Speaking of children, speaking of weird things that HoloLive has, I believe, multiple people who use child avatars with adult voices. But HoloLive now celebrating Gaogura's 4 million subscriber celebration. Merch is now available for pre-order. It includes a body pillowcase and a holographic acrylic panel. And this is what's on the body pillow. I'm going to go to the actual thing, but just to prove this is actual tweet. I can't believe they didn't delete this tweet right away because this got a ton of backlash. And I couldn't imagine why. But so they thought it was a good idea to, in this, there was an Anna YouTuber named, well, I guess is this avatar in here fully? This guy who uses a lolicon avatar was like, it's not weird. This is just non-sexual or whatever. There's nothing weird going on here. Nothing weird with a what is it? She looks like she's 5 or 6, holding her arms out like this, winking at you and making a kiss face in what looks like lingerie. And this is a body pillow that you're supposed to cuddle up to. And there are, God, it is so weird how many people are defending this. But fortunate that a lot of people aren't defending it. But I can't believe, I can't believe how many people said, oh, it's not it's non-sexual. Nothing about cuddling is sexual was said in his video. Oh, another thing I forgot to timestamp. This is why I need to make videos. By the way, let me just address this because people keep asking. Yes, I'm still making videos. I will always make videos because I like doing that. I like being able to spend time crafting the perfect argument. But I also like kind of just doing things more free flow, and I want to learn how to do that. So thus the live streams. So yeah, videos are still going to happen. But this is like more of a video get where it's like, this guy's like, nothing is sexual about cuddling. Okay, well, if nothing's sexual about cuddling, why don't you cuddle your bros? Nothing sexual about that. And just think of it like, let me actually show you the ad for the body pillow. Let's bring that back down. or where it's being the storefront for the body pillow, so you can see the full thing. Where it's like either when you're cuddling up to this pillow, you're either like going full on. I guess you're supposed to like make out with the child, like winking, kissing, kiss face, like arms out, a little midriff showing, which is weird. Or you're supposed to like be the big spoon in this relationship, and it's like kind of think like, is this? Because it's like it's obviously like you're supposed to fantasize. Is this someone else's kid that you're just like spooning or going face first into? I cuddle my bros all the time. Let's see. Let me take a second to read comments. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get more used to interacting with the chat. With some other streams where it's like I tried to prep too much like it was a video, and it just like there was no interaction. It was really stressful. My goal in future streams is to not do that. Is to not over prepare. It's tempting because I want to make videos. We call it bruddling. Oh, and then speaking of, so this came to my attention because Brittany was making a video on it. You can go check out that video. Let's see. Let me just get the name for it. It's done pretty well so far. Is there a way to like read chat and do this look for the stream at the same time? Yeah, hold on. Here's the video.
For everything.
That's make copyright claim that one on the video. Can I get it to show the thumbnail? Because there's a couple really weird things in this video that are more disturbing than you would originally think. Where's the thumbnail? I'm actually have to go to the video feed for this. So first of all, here's the video. I'll move myself over here. Title, go check it out. But I wanted to bring attention to what is in the thumbnail for this one. See if that auto plays. So this is while, so I was in on some of the research. While research was being, that's what I want to move. Research was being done on this video. She searched for the illicit material, and then we saw tons, like a pretty large number of photorealistic drawings of children. We're like, this is very near the uncanny valley. People like where it's like, you don't get that much definition to anime where it's like it could plausibly not be real. These look like full-on children in weird sexual positions. And what's to say that in the future someone's not just going to take this material? By the way, this is why I say don't upload your photos of your kids to the internet. People are going to do this. Uploading public photos of your kids to Instagram. Just wait till some weirdo scans that photo, puts it into an AI program, and has it draw porn of your kid. Welcome to that future. Cuddling isn't necessarily sexual. However, these body pillows promote more sexual nature. Oh, that's not even like I forgot about that. Thank you, person with a German name that I can't pronounce. Another thing we said, I was like, I can't remember who brought it up. I was like, well, let's just say I brought it up so I can take all the credit. I wonder if you can purchase this stuff on Amazon. So we made a search for Lolicon body pillows on Amazon, and you can find way, like, the stuff we saw. Jeez. Bring this back out. The stuff we saw on this one was way worse. This was tame. This was already really bad. This was tame. But there was full-on sexual crap on body pillows that you could purchase for a few bucks on Amazon. I feel bad for police and computer repair shop people. Oh, jeez. Yeah, because like think about one of the things I was told about the way you hide sex trafficking, especially sex trafficking of children, is that who wants to be the guy who has to look through all the CP to save kids? I mean, I don't think I could do that. Like that would make me really, really hate humanity if I had to sit there and just watch CP videos all day to help protect children. So of course they're going to do it that way. When would there be a TBOS body pillow with the logo on it? Let's see. What the fuck is wrong with people? And so where this all interrelates is that this is what got me a lot more suspicious of pornography and stuff like that, is that it's like you can go, like, what's really suspicious is that there are minimal things that Google could do, there are minimal things that Amazon could do, that Twitch can do, that are just like, you would think this is just base level. Like if I want to go on to and watch one of Amaranth's streams, she could age restrict it and it will say like, oh, you must be 18 or older to view the stream. All I do is click a button and I can view whatever sexual content that Amaranth is doing. If I am a kid and I want to Google search pornography, you can just search it. You don't have to have an account. It'll say safe search is off, but tee-hee, what kid is gonna turn safe search on before they see all this material? Pornhub, no age restriction on Pornhub. You can just go and view all the illicit material that you want. And it's not like maybe I didn't see it this way because when I was a kid, you couldn't just view that kind of content fully. Like there was always a paywall in front of it. When I was 12, I would troll cam girls. I mean, it depends on when you were 12. I was 12 in 2002, so that was when high-speed internet would just barely got its start. So you couldn't. I mean, you could still sort of get access to this stuff, but imagine like imagine being a parent and trying to take care of a 9-year-old who can just go onto someone else's computer, or go to this, maybe in the school computer, and just type in this stuff in the stuff like that, and just find some of the worst fetishistic crap when they're like 11, when they're 9 or 10. And how do you as a parent protect any kid from this? It's so widely available, and the big tech companies are doing absolutely nothing. Not even as simple as like, hey, you can't search for adult content unless you're logged in. Or what I prefer is like the simple way to get rid of kids without getting too invasive is just paywall everything. So you can paywall Pornhub for $1, and that will stop a ton of kids from going into it because they have to have a credit card to go in. There's age restriction in UA via credit card. Yeah, that's the simplest way to, because you don't have to get all Illuminati, George Orwell like levels of tracking to protect children from this content. You just paywall, and now holy shit, tons of kids are protected. This is why you don't give. Yeah, like I wouldn't even know as a parent how to stop kids from viewing this material. And another problem is that the sexual content is basically everywhere. It's almost impossible to avoid these days. Give you an example. That's something I've been recently aware of. Is that this is a shirt that on Depop that Brittany was looking at, and here it is. There we go. Make sure actually. Okay, perfect. Took off the account. So it's a Care Bear shirt. Hold on a second. Yeah, audio's crapping out right here. It's a Care Bear shirt. It has some offensive thing on the thing. I'm sure some of you can read that if you've got really good computer screens. Okay, that's not that bad. But a lot of times on Depop, and this is the YouTube safe version of this, tries to like, okay, here's the front of the shirt. We want to show the back, but like in the photo where she's showing her back, she's wearing like the booty shorts and it has her lower back arched, and you can't even see the full shirt. It's just there to show her ass. And this is the YouTube safe. There's full-on pornography on Depop, which is a place where people buy used clothes, that I'm sure lots of teens are accessing, and maybe younger than that. Like just full-on sexualized behavior just when you're trying to buy clothes. And is there age restriction on any of this stuff? As far as I know, no, there isn't. You can probably just Google the person's name. I probably should have done that before the stream, but like, holy crap. So easy to see this stuff for children. The shirt isn't even centered. Yeah, see, look, it's not even centered in the screen. You can't see, like, what does the other sleeve look like? How does this, oh, the emphasis is here. Like, this is, And I'm not even talking about all like this. Of course, there would be ways around. Obviously, like this could probably stop 20% of the problem. Just saying you have to be logged in just to even search this. Now at least an 8 or a 9-year-old is probably not going to be able to figure out how to create a user account for Google or whatever without their parents to be able to find the wrong material. Maybe that keeps them from accessing it until they're 12. Okay, well now you paywall the content, and maybe they still get it underage, but now they're 16. Now it's a lot more of a safe area, even though they probably shouldn't be accessing that material when they're 16. It's still gonna create problems for them sexually if they see a bunch of BDSM or furry stuff when they're little kids or when they're teenagers. Let's see. Anyway, I forgot. I left some of the super chats out. Let's see. Seeking, I cuddle the homies, ironically, not romantically. I don't know. Brittany always says there's no ironic way to suck a dick. Ken N. Czar? I don't know what Czar is. 14, whatever those are. Truth plus reason over delusion. Wish you success. Thank you. And Digori with did that pop up? It's not popping up. Oh, there we go. 49 MX dollars. First time on a live. Keep it up, King. Thank you. John Borello, $10. Just give the most stereotypical Italian pronunciation, and it should be within the ballpark. The issue with porn is that these companies do not want to have paywalls because they want customers. Yeah. I mean, was it YouTube figures out that there's a reason YouTube is free. Is a lot of times the advertiser model is more effective. You just have to find a way to convince people to watch ads. I mean, advertisers will pay a whole lot to be in videos. So I think if they put a paywall, Pornhub would get less exposure. If they made it so there's some sort of friction to using their website, they're going to lose business. And they will do all kinds of immoral things, like not age verifying some of their accounts to the point where they had to delete 80% of the accounts that weren't age verified. How many of those accounts were underage? Like, you'd be surprised to find out how much sex trafficking happens in the pornography industry. I wouldn't say it's everything, but it's a frequent issue. Like, girls do porn just got exposed for sex trafficking. One or two of their owners got convicted of it. Someone says a lot of them. Why is oh my god, I need to get a different connector to this audio interfaces. It's like buzzing in my headphones and really pissing me off. Louisiana passed legislation that requires Orange YouTube to verify age. Oh, you can see porn on YouTube too. You just type in naked yoga. There it is. YouTube has no sort of like, I think, doesn't Facebook have algorithms to detect nudity? Why doesn't YouTube have that for thumbnails? Because you can just find full-on pornography in thumbnails without being logged in, without having some sort of like age restriction over it. I don't have to click verify I'm over 18 to look at this stuff. You just see it in the thumbnails. And so there's a question: is that why aren't any of these companies doing the most basic thing to protect children? I would say it's hard to say that anyone under 10 at this point has not seen some sort of pornographic material. Whereas when I was a kid, that would be seen as child sexual abuse. Like, it would have been outlandish, even though it did happen. It would be outlandish. Like, people would have a problem with it. Now it's just it's almost impossible to avoid. Bryce Crispy was the one who sent that thing about Louisiana. Albie Gold OP, $1 super chat. Thank you. If you type in hentai, you can find it on YouTube as a 1-year-old. Oh yeah, all the grooming that went on Roblox. That's one hell of a rabbit hole to go down. Someone made a video on that. I forget who it was, but was it Carl Jobs that did the Roblox video? I know Carl Jobs said that whole thing about the people manipulating the price on video games, so that classic video games are like 10 times the price they use. Well, I think overall the classic video games are about 2 or 3 times the price they used to be a couple years ago. Anime like Elfen Lied is uncensored on YouTube. And that was the super edgy anime. Oh my god. Hold on a second. I gotta unplug my headphones. It's still doing it. Am I gonna have to deal with that the whole stream? It's just fully bugging. Oh, okay, it stopped. Wait, what about Roblox? Roblox is that video game where you create games, and so some of that video from my memory, like they were doing like basically violating child labor laws, where like adults would create groups and have children make games for them, and then not pay them to make the games. Elfenlied traumatized me low-key in high school. I don't know. I watched that in high school, and it was just like the edgy thing. Probably. I don't remember who was in it. There was like a kid. Wasn't there a scene where like a little kid with like her psionic arms like murdered a bunch of children? That's pretty fucked up. But that was one of those things where it was cool because it was edgy, and not because it's actually good. I bet you if I watched that story now, it'd be like, this is the most boring crap I've ever seen. Some people were saying that when they watched that show as an adult. Ramos Prospects, $15 super chat. Thank you for spreading awareness to the trans horror happening to our children. We stand by your side no matter what the backlash. We would love a video on this topic so you can reach millions. Unfortunately, what happens, the reason why I haven't made a video on this stuff is because, one, you never know what YouTube's going to strike, but two, YouTube will instantly demonetize it, which means I basically work for free for 2 weeks. And then when a video gets demonetized, not only do you work for free for 2 weeks, you get deranked in the algorithm. I mean, I had it happen in that video that I did about puppy play with Jenna and the girl who voluntarily made herself blind. That video was popping off and doing really well. Then it got demonetized, and then suddenly the views just crashed the hour it got demonetized. Like it went from like a typical arc would be like, oh, it goes down a little bit, gets demonetized. It was just a straight nosedive, and it stopped getting views. So it's hard to justify that. It's hard to like YouTube just is already going to throttle it anyway, just through not even through like super censorious thing. It's just that we're not going. It's not monetized, so we're not going to promote it because we have very unfair rules in terms of advertising. All right, had to blow my nose there. Let's bring it back. Ray Asmadou. Am I French enough to be able to pronounce that? Getting porn is so easy in middle school. Cuba, almost all my friends had some. Two in particular had 1 terabyte of it and sold it. Yeah. So not only do I have to would I as a parent have to worry about my kids getting access to it from my own computer or from their phone or whatever, or like, I don't know, does an 8-year-old need a phone? A lot of people are like, oh, I need to have a digital leash on you. It's like, I didn't have a phone until I was like 14 or something like that. My parents figured out how to keep track of me. So your 5-year-old doesn't need unfettered access to the internet just so you can put a GPS on them. Well, Coyote, someone said that. Welcome back. I forgot what I was talking about. That Japanese totally oh yeah, how easy it is. So not only do you have to worry about like your kids getting access to it just by accident on your own computer, even if you don't watch porn, they can still get access to it. Like they don't even have to search your internet history for that. You have to worry about the kids in school whose parents aren't as careful, who will then just sell it to your kids or expose your kids to it. 12 is way too young. Yeah, I don't know how you. And then what'll happen is like now enough parents said 8 years old is okay for a phone, so all the other kids are doing it. And then it's like your kid gets bullied for not having a phone or gets called a square for not having a phone. So then doesn't happen. Just what happened a lot. Libertarian ideology is what led this. It's too optimistic a view for human nature. Yeah, I kind of think so. I mean, the idea of anarchy or extremely limited government seems kind of cool, but there's no way we are culturally ready to not have some sort of moderator in place, especially with this stuff. I mean, if the government just snapped and disappeared, the first thing would happen is just massive sex trafficking. At least for now, there needs to be some system in place to stop that. Like it does have its uses. I just don't like all the authoritarian BS that they use as an, oh, well, we need to protect kids, therefore we're going to do all this stuff that has nothing to do with children. Flip phones still have a screen. People will find a way to watch porn. Yeah, but they shouldn't know about it. If you don't know about it, you don't know to look for it. And you shouldn't know about it at 7 years old or 8 years old or at 9. You know what happens? Like the older 13-year-old kid who got exposed to it too young that says, "Oh, hey, friend's brother who's 8 years old. Let me show you this cool thing I found." Like that's what happens with kids all the time. And again, of course these are worries, but big tech companies are doing absolutely nothing to stop this stuff. Like not even the basic thing. We can't even talk about what the more advanced strategies to prevent kids from seeing this stuff would be if you're not even just putting up an age block on your thing. You're not paywalling things, not doing the most basic thing. You can watch porn on Nintendo 3DS. That's interesting. I mean, I guess like with a flash drive, or do people draw it in PictoChat? Social media makes them curious. Yeah, social media definitely does. Definitely does make kids curious, like, especially when like you go on every site and there's pornography or there's what we call explicit sexual material, like watching a sex scene, or implicit sexual material. With this would be a sort of like implicit sexual material. The Depop thing that I showed earlier, like this is implicitly sexual. Kids still should not be seeing stuff like that. And the fact that it had like we're just trying to sell clothes here, and you have e-thoughts trying to get a little extra attention, I guess. And it's like, if Facebook can create a nudity algorithm, why can't Depop create some sort of filter that filters this crap out, or have a report system to say, hey, this person's showing her boobs to sell the outfit that has nothing to do with that. Can you take this down or put some sort of age restriction on it so a child can't see it? Or doesn't have it works on 2DS and 3DS, the same thing. Like I've even seen on eBay like girls holding up video games with like this type of material in this type of way. Like, can I just buy a video game without having to see some pornographic image? A law passed in my state in Louisiana makes sure government issued ID to watch porn. Only some sites have complied, Pornhub included. Yeah, the problem with at least for now with the government issued ID to view porn is, okay, I'm just going to use a VPN. Like, how hard is that to get around? But a paywall is a lot harder to get around. That's why I don't entirely agree with that ID to watch porn. There's so many ways to get around it. You can install Linux on a 3DS. Dreamcast gang. Oh, I just got a fully modded Dreamcast. Haven't had time to play it. So unfortunate. My childhood Dreamcast just shit the bed about a year ago. Just the laser stopped working. And I'm like trying to hold on to it where it's like, no, I want to play the actual games, not have to use a flash card to play Dreamcast games, but it's only going to be a matter of time before the new laser that was put in is going to be broken anyway. I've never used Linux, for the person who asked that. Oh yeah, Discord servers, lots of child predation happens on Discord. And it seems like these companies are doing very, very minimal stuff to stop this. We can't be, if we don't talk about putting, again, paywalling things, or just saying that you have to log into an account, how are we supposed to figure out the more intense strategies to really, really keep kids away from this stuff? Do you think narcissistic personality disorder is real? I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I usually don't, like when I talk about psychological stuff, I usually talk about like in terms of like media terms or like basic like fundamental psychology or mental health. Like I'm not here to diagnose people and say like it sounds narcissistic. Oh yeah, also there's free VPNs that you don't even have to pay for it. I mean, they probably don't work as well. They probably track your data. So I wouldn't trust a free VPN, but if you don't care about that stuff, I think it'd be very, very hard to ban pornography. I think it'd probably be pretty easy to ban Lolicon or make it very, very hard to have it distributed. Certainly Elon Musk did a pretty great thing by banning the terms Lolicon and Shotacon on Twitter, and that's gonna make it harder to get that content viewed, just for the fact that, like, oh, if you're an artist, like, here, look at my child pornography Patreon. There's another thing I was gonna bring up. Oh, that's what I forgot. Part of me doesn't want to get examples because I have to look through like creepy material and stuff like that. But like the reason that stuff like this, why we should be suspicious of this stuff, and again, this is a major company that does, was it DLive or HoloLive, that does all these VTubers, and this is what they're selling. This right here, a little kid in what looks like a lingerie top trying to hug you and kissing at you and stuff, and that's the thing you're supposed to cuddle. So what do you think the weirdos are doing with that stuff? But there is weird crap in anime all the time where it's like, I just want to watch a show and I don't want to see like Shield Hero is a good example. Shield Hero has very, very good writing. I mean, there's a story about a false allegation and a guy having his life destroyed, and then having to work his way through it, and also seeing the punishment of the false accuser, which doesn't seem to happen that often in real life. But then there's like weird crap where it's like, why is every character in this guy's party a child? So you have one character, just for those who haven't seen The Rise of the Shield Hero. Let me put that out there. Season 1, every one of his party members was a child. Not true in season 2, but close enough. Okay. So this character was a child that the main character bought as a slave, and then as it's like a isekai, like guy gets transferred to another world. It has RPG elements, and so he meets this person as a child, buys her as a slave, and like levels her up, and she grows up into an adult, but she's still like effectively 9 years old. Then they have like a chocobo, what's her name, Philo, who is turns into a, well, apparently it's like a food. They have this character who turns into a bird, but's also a kid. And at the start, it's like I feel like this show is setting up for like an Usagi drop. If you guys have heard that, anime different from the manga, but the manga, you start out with like, this is just like an innocent story between like a guy who adopts a little kid. Like I think she's like 6 or something like that. I haven't read it, but I've just heard people talk about it. But let's say he adopts this little girl who's a 6-year-old. He's like 30 or something like that. He's learning how to be a parent and trying to help a kid survive an unfortunate situation. And then there's like a time skip after like all this after all this like wholesome stuff, where suddenly the little girl is 16, and now she's like in love with the guy who took care of her. Which, yeah, that happens sometimes. They're not biologically related. That could happen. I mean, certainly kids sometimes idealize their teachers in that way. But the weird part is that the guy's like, okay, I guess we're just in a relationship now. And then nobody around him is like, nobody around him says, hey, this is grooming, this is evil. And everybody's just okay with it. So weird crap happens like that in anime all the time. And so they sort of have like a similar story where it's like, they're setting up for it, where Raphtalia, the girl I showed before, is like a little kid. She does some sword fighting, becomes an adult. And then there's this other child, and they both like, they're at least the one that turned into adult is like romantically attracted to the main character. And at first he was like, nah, screw you, that's weird, like I'm like your dad. But it seems like Shield Hero is the definition of Stockholm syndrome. $2 super chat, thank you. $5 super chat. Well, collectivism is a cult. It's sins and dogmas, many parallels to religious fanaticism. Yeah, basically. It's basically the religious fanaticism that was around in the 2000s is now the woke cult. Best way to grow a cult: shun heretics and aim for the kids. Yeah. Yeah, why not? That's what they do. So, then there's like this princess that's also a child character that joins their party for like a little bit. So that not that bad. Would you still marry or against it? Would you still marry or are you against it? If I find the right person, I'd get married. But I think like if you're coming from the MGTOW part of it, there are risks to each option. There's a risk to being alone for the rest of your life. And there's a risk to marriage. You just have to, be informed and decide which one's the best for you. And make sure you're actively working towards bettering your life. And I think if you're actively working towards bettering your life, whichever option you pick is going to be a good option. But if you're just sitting around doing nothing, then you're going to get the worst of everything. Okay, so season 2 comes around, and then there's some story arc. They get isekai'd into another world, so they go from their other world to another other world. And in this other world, everybody goes back to level 1. Again, it's like an RPG. The main character's like level 85 or whatever. He goes back to level 1. Raftalia, the raccoon girl, for those who don't know the show that well, this girl here, she goes back to level 1, goes back to being a child, and goes back to being a child. None of the rest was, well, they had one of those characters where it's like they meet it, they're in like some labyrinth or whatever, and they meet this character who is like, oh, I'm 18, but I look like I'm 11. I forget what her name was. Again, they're just saying it, so I guess it's like suspicious, but it's not that bad. Then at the end of the show, they have the extra episode, the Omake episode, where they like do flashbacks and go back to the past. And while the 18-year-old who looks like she's 11 is in a clothes store because they need to like buy new clothes that fit the cultural, so they don't look like this, so they don't stand out because they're in like a very like Japanese area versus they were in more of a Western area in the other world. So they get to the clothes shop in the extra episode, and it's like, oh my God, Raftalia, would you like to try on a bathing suit so you can look good for Naofumi because you're like 11 and he wants to see an 11-year-old in a bathing suit? And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, can I just have my show without this weird shit? Yes, it is weird. I never watched it, but that music with the saxophone was wild. Why is anime full of this disgusting stuff? Yeah. I mean, if you want to see more degenerate crap, there was that show that was circling around a couple years ago called Eromanga Sensei, where an 11-year-old writes pornography, and then there were like, oh my God, not related stepbrother, I dropped my pen. I hope you don't open the door on accident and see my ass. Have you read Berserk? No, I haven't read Berserk. Did the manga finish? That was one of the ones where it's like, I want to get better at Japanese before I read that. The show from before was Shield Hero. Cuties, by the way, Cuties would have been, for one, it would have been boring because it wasn't a very interesting movie. But Cuties would have been a great movie if it wasn't using actual children, because there are real problems that movie is talking about. It's just you don't have to abuse children while you're talking about, hey, an 11-year-old can take a sexualized picture of herself and post it on the internet and post her own CP, which may or may not. I mean, geez, that's the porn rabbit hole is already bad enough. You think of that rabbit hole, you give an 11-year-old access to a phone and watch what are some of the more messed up ones might do with it. Now they've got that circulating on the internet forever, and they're not in their right mind because they're little kids. Why would I play a visual novel? That sounds boring. I could just read. What was I saying before that? We're talking about Eromanga Sensei, and they always have to say not blood related for everything. It's weird. There was No Game, No Life, full-on shower scenes with little kid that were reasonably sexualized. Like just trying to watch a regular show. Don't want to see this shit. What was another one I was going to bring up? I'm losing it. Let me just read chats. Oh, that's what I was going to bring up. Someone brought up. I'm a little bit here on Mushoku Tensei. Like it's a little bit. It's starting to cross the line a little bit, but it seems to be now I haven't seen what's past what season 1 and season 2 are out right now. It seems to be that they're doing some weird crap, but the overlying message is don't abuse children, don't go in this direction. That seems to be the case. I could be wrong. I feel it's isekai, so I'm probably wrong. Oh, I just lost what I was going to talk about. Oh, I didn't. This is why you don't bring up random Google images. I almost got my stream canceled. There's like pictures of the character in lingerie. So next time I will not do that, because remember, Google doesn't censor pornography, so that could happen. Can I speak Japanese? No. Porn causes a lot of damage. Stay clean, bro. Thank you for the 50 MX dollars. Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot we need to worry about with pornography. Pound Dog $5 super chat is good. Is MGTOW good for men like me? I'm 16. I want to avoid marriage problems that my father had. That's not really a decision that you should be making at 16. I think you need to go through life and grow up a little bit. And just keep your mind open. Oh, I'm blanking on her name. Real Femme Sapien. I forgot what your name is. Is it Allie? Our audience, they're appealing to American or foreign. Anime. Anime is worldwide. That's why I wanted to learn the other language too. Later in life, talk to some of these people to see if we can stop this shit. I mean, there is, even just at like anime conventions, there is so much degeneracy right in public at anime conventions. It's insane. Like there's booths that advertise hentai where it's like, oh well, we covered up the nipples, therefore it doesn't count. It's like, what about like the tongue hanging out and her making like the O face? Like kids shouldn't be seeing that shit. Grew up body of a child, age of a... Where was that? It got deleted. Do I think Madoka Magica is based? I thought that was a pretty good... It's a very Freemason style show. I was laughing my ass off when the... Oh, oops. Well, if you haven't seen Madoka Magica, it's good. It's a magical girl show that gets very, very dark. Body of a child, age of an adult. Raftalia, body of an adult, underage. I mean, I can ignore the Raftalia thing if it's like, okay, she fully acts like an adult and they don't do anything sexual. But the fact that they're pushing it more in a sexual direction makes me not want to watch the show. And then also, what I yet again forgot to get to is that there are very real uses to show this kind of material to help. Well, in a respective sense, it's like there is a play. Like I said, Cuties would have been great if it was animated. They could have gotten the message out there. No real children are harmed, and then people who are not children, because this would be like a rated R movie, can okay, I see the message of this movie. But there's also things like Made in Abyss, where they visually show examples of child abuse, but it's not supposed to be sexual. It's supposed to be there to show you how traumatic it is, as far as I'm aware. Let's see, the new season came out. I didn't watch the new season, so I think I've watched the first season and the movie. Like, it's there to display the problem. Here's how evil adults can get. Let's maybe hamper down on some of this shit and see if we can stop it. Versus like Eromanga Sensei full on promoting CP, or Isekai getting very, very creepy with that. On the topic of underage girls seeking $10 super chat. On the topic of underage girls in anime, do we know why there's a demand for this? If it's genetic, why do some men get turned on by suggestive content involving minors, or some find it repulsive? Well, the fact that it's so... I mean, the fact that they're putting this in shows means, like, they know there's some sort of audience demand for it because people are responding positively to it. Now, it's almost like I would think people are getting groomed into it, because the way you create a child molester... Just immediately get the stream demonetized by saying that. By the way, YouTube had a fun time striking one of my videos where I was pointing out how child beauty patents are child abuse. So thank you, YouTube, for striking down a video that was trying to protect children. That had 1 million views on it. Humble brag. Sorry about that. Yeah, once it got really, I think videos go through a secondary review once they go close to 1 million, and it was doing really well 2 months, and then hit a million. YouTube just banished it to the shadow realm of me pointing out that child sexual abuse goes on at child beauty pageants, and they should be made illegal. What was I responding to? Okay, so the generic way you create someone who's attracted to children is they're sexually abused. And things that are traumatic in childhood become sources of attraction in adulthood. Might be why spanking fetishes are so prominent, because kids get spanked as a form of punishment. Or it might be why when people say things sexual, like, oh, you're being so naughty. So some of that might relate back to childhood. But the fact that this is so widespread and so many people are demanding, it's like, I don't think that all these people are sexual abuse victims. And I think a lot of it's just pornography addictions. Like, they were looking at one thing at first, and then they started... what happens is that you need higher, when you have addictive processes, you need higher and higher levels of stimulation. Otherwise, you can't get off. And so they, a couple years passes by, they can't get off to the same material. They start looking for new things, and then suddenly, well, I mean, this stuff is everywhere, so they get involved in that. In ancient Greece and Rome, it was just normal for adults to have inappropriate relationships. One of the positive things of Christianity was ending that. Well, if that's what happened, then I would say that is definitely a positive thing. Have you read the recent Hill article stating that more than 60% of men are single while women are not? Apparently women opt to date either older men or each other. I've looked at that, but I haven't read it. I've seen it. I mean, it's certainly disturbing that so many people are single. It's going to have an effect on society. Let's see. I think I'm kind of winding down. At this point, I don't want these streams to be much longer than an hour and a half or 2 hours. Are you at the point in your Japanese that you don't need to read subtitles? I mean, when I'm trying to learn, I don't use subtitles, but I would be at the point where I would call it like basic low-level fluency. So if I was traveling to Japan and I was trying to get around and sightsee or buy things in the store, I pretty much can say whatever I want to say. And I can pretty much understand anything anybody would say in that case. But in terms of so I would call that like basic low-level fluency. Like I can hang around in the country for a week or two and be fine. But as for complete fluency, like you would just call it just basic fluency, like I can talk about pretty much any topic that would come up in regular conversation. I'm not quite there yet. A lot of things that are, with basically stopping that is work, is I don't have nearly as much time to study as I used to, and so my progress has heavily gone down. But I'm sure I'll be fluent at some point. And then, so you'd have like basic low-level, like I can travel and talk. Then you'd have like I can handle most conversations. Then you have what's called high-level fluency, which is like I can talk about technical terminology. Like I can have a conversation about YouTube and then fully describe in the most technical terms how YouTube would work. Let's see. I've not played any Persona games. Prawn versus nude art. I don't really have an opinion on that. Let's see. Vinland Saga, that second season of that show came out. I haven't seen the second season, but first season was good. Will you make an episode on people like Pearly Things or debates that people like Jordan Peterson are a part of? I think you might agree with Pearl and Peterson. I don't know. The debate meta is kind of boring. I don't really have any interest in that. Like, most of the time what happens, like, I've already kind of, like, speaking of addictive behaviors, I kind of already got all my stimulation on that back in, like, the 2014, 2015, 2016, where it's, like, the first wave anti-feminism hit on YouTube, where it's, like, it was debate. And now it's just, like, okay, well, either this person's going to say some crazy outlandish crap, and then they're going to start yelling at the person debating them, which is very predictable, or nothing will get solved. And very rarely do you have a point where it's like a truly good debate where both parties are looking to interpret each other fairly, and you're actually learning from the conversation, and you might agree with a person that you thought you wouldn't agree with on certain issues, and you might have learned something from, or might have expanded your ideas on a certain topic. But as far as those, I don't know. I don't really have any interest in going on like the Fresh and Fit style shows. Like, I haven't played Apex in a while. It's too time consuming. Like, you get to a point where maybe their matchmaking is better, but like, holy crap! It's once you, it seems like when I hit platinum, God, was that last year? I think it was last year. When I hit platinum last year, that my skill gap went from here to like here. It just shot way up, and it's the point where it's like, if I just play in random solo queue, the people are so good that I would have to sit there and spend hours and hours and hours practicing aim, learning different tactics. And Japanese is hard. Whatever that said. Well, I can't read it. Like it would just be the point where it's not fun anymore. Like, if I'm gonna have to sit there and practice for hours and hours just to play the game, like, it's not cool. So I've switched to Risk of Rain, but like I'm gotten kind of bored of that. I need to find a new game. You can always come on. Maybe I'll do that later. One of the reasons I faced, well, actually, a big reason I face Revealed is because it's really, really hard to go on other people's channels if you're not in person. Like, many shows require that you're actually there, and you can't do that if you don't show your face. Pissed off. Is there a generation after Gen Z at this point? Pissed off Zenial super chatted $5. I appreciate you and your content. Thank you. Ella super chatted. Thank you for the great content you put together. Keep it up. Really enjoy seeing the growth of this channel. Thank you. I'm super good faith, but that apparently is rare. Yeah, it's hard because your human nature is designed to work for, like, it's designed to have confirmation bias. You're designed to not really want to, because having a different opinion takes energy. Like, it takes energy to honestly listen to somebody talk out a point. So it's not a skill that very many people have, but hopefully more people will have it in the future. Scooter, $5 super chat. Thanks. See you streaming again. I have a question. Have you seen Jujutsu Kaisen? I have not. I know it's not like a My Hero Academia sort of anime. I was watching that, but like, oh my god, there's a lot of filler in that show, and I just got bored of it. Like, I've watched enough filler from Naruto that I don't need to see more and more filler and more tournament arcs that are used just to buy time. Just show me the story. I think Demon Slayer is doing really good with that, where it's like, we'll make you wait a year, but at least we're gonna have really, really high quality animation, and we're not gonna sit there and waste your time with filler episodes. I think Demon Slayer, of like, what, 30 or so episodes, they've had like 2 filler episodes. But they keep it to a minimum, and I think like, it's so weird. I have somebody, a friend of mine, works in the industry, works around the manga industry, works around the music industry, and works around Japanese stuff. And she was telling me how some of the anime market works, and these companies basically have no money. I'm like, this is so weird. Why would anime have no money when it's worldwide popular? Like, you can sell anime in multiple countries and have no problem doing that. You're getting, like, how much money did the Demon Slayer movie make? It made like a ton, right? Didn't make over like 50 million. You got Brawley making 50 million. So it doesn't make sense why they're like so many pan shots, so much, like, finally Demon Slayer's finally bringing like US style animation to anime, where it's like, if you watched Avatar, The Last Airbender back in the day, there wasn't like a ton of talking in the middle of fight scenes. They would just fight, and you would see a fully choreographed scene where things would happen. Versus anime, every time someone swings a sword, they gotta talk for 5 minutes or have pan shots where nothing's going on. So part of that was because I guess they weren't monetizing anime correctly. I mean, where they're like, I don't see how you could have Dragon Ball, have bajillions of people watch it, and then have cheap animation. Like, it's so weird. Maybe just stop making filler episodes, or stop wasting money on filler episodes, and you'll have money to animate things properly. And you'll also get more people watching anime because the animation is good, and they don't use cheap gimmicks to save money. Risk of Rain is getting the first one's getting a redo. So maybe I'll waste more time on that. How can I learn to be a critical thinker? I'm not sure how much of that is dependent on natural intelligence. I know that critical thinking is certainly strategy. So you just learn a lot. You learn a lot of ways to question things and criticize, and have some experience in your life, and you'll be decent at critical thinking. They produced beautiful animation in the 80s and early 90s, the Japanese. I'm talking about like fully. It's been like, I don't know, maybe Macross was pretty well animated. I watched like 5 episodes of that and got distracted and stopped watching it. But I wanted to go back and watch Macross, or was it called Robotech in English? Deep Rock Galactic, Titan, Attack on Titan. Yeah, I'm waiting for the last season of that. We'll see. How do you feel about AI arts? Well, as I said earlier, if you weren't there for that, pornography runs the internet. Like, it's obvious. And the second that AI art comes out, like, have fun. All the people who took pictures of their kids and posted them on Instagram and shit like that, have fun having your kids being predatorized by that, by having people draw them in sexual positions and using AI to do that. And as far as like, well, here's what you could do. You could tell the AI program to not do that and give it some sort of moral code around that. But where's the moral code for YouTube doing that anywhere? Like, do any of these big companies give a shit? Like, if there was some sort of moral code with all these big companies, you would see YouTube blocking thumbnails that contain pornography in them. You would see Google making you sign in and age verify in some way before they let you search pornography. You would see age restriction or a paywall on Pornhub. And they could do like a Hulu model where it's like you pay $5 a month, you get to see the videos with ads. Or you pay $30 a month, you get to see everything without ads. Baki was enjoyable. That might be one I watch in Japanese without subtitles. Max $20 super chats. I love your content. I'm giving you money to consider going on the Adam and Stitch show. They're great guys. I'm sure you can have an interesting discussion about them. I've seen one thing from them a long time ago. I'll give that one a maybe. Like, I'm never gonna, unless it's already done, I'm not gonna confirm going on someone's show because things always happen. People get busy or plans fall through. Speak Japanese or else. I mean, I already spoke one word of Japanese. Did you hear the Balenciaga? Yeah, of course I heard about the Balenciaga scandal because the one who brought that up was Brittany. Like in the Bears and stuff like that. Yeety's Spaghetti. Oh no, it doesn't. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Yeah, that's a. Doesn't or does? It's been a while since I've watched that show, but I'm pretty sure that the show was clean. Do I regret the face reveal? So far, not. I mean, there was a reason why I didn't do it before. It's because I didn't want to be famous. Like, there's a lot of like, I always get worried about people who's like, oh, I just want to be famous. I just want so much clout and blah, blah, blah. I want people to look at me. It's like, there's a lot of negatives. A lot of negatives having a lot of people know who you are. One of the most obvious one is security. So obviously I didn't want to do that. But I think in terms of helping as many people as possible, and again, like being able to get exposure, going on to shows and talking about these ideas, it's hard to do that without showing your face. Like, you can't go on, like, these are just examples that everyone would know. Not saying I would ever be invited to these podcasts, but you can't go on like Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman without showing your face. Definitely not saying I would ever go on this podcast. We'll see what happens if you do. You can't go on Timcast without showing your face. Though not saying I would go on his podcast after what happened with the Eliza Blue thing. I might talk to someone like Destiny. A part of this is like, I'm basically at this point going to have to be forced into doing things. I think the only other show besides Britney's is like Chrissy Mares, and I was like, hey, like very, very forcefully invited to that because otherwise I'm not going to do it because there's still like a little bit of performance anxiety in terms of like having to go on stream. And it's like I have to like hype myself up for it. But once that goes away, once I get more used to this, I'm sure that it'll get easier. What did Tim do wrong? Tim covered up the Eliza Blue scandal for weeks and kind of shifted the issue and was like, I don't know, just go back and watch the video. There's plenty of videos about the Eliza Blue stuff, but basically the whole Eliza Blue story was about Britney and the quartering getting censored and a bunch of other accounts getting censored on Twitter. And then they made it about Eliza Blue. She was like a sex trafficking advocate who allegedly was sex trafficked, probably not sex trafficked. So that was her story. And they said they made the story not about the censorship, but the fact that whether or not she was lying about her story, which was, again, trying to cover things up. Oh, and also Britney was uninvited from Pop Culture Crisis, the one of Tim Cast's shows, and then what basically happened is like she got invited onto Pop Culture Crisis. Obviously, I was going to go, so we got the plane tickets and everything for that. And there was some sort of implement that if maybe they weren't sure if a guest was going to cancel the day that that she was invited on, and that maybe she might go on Timcast as like some sort of implement, though I think that was unlikely. Or maybe if like we could shake hands with everybody, or in the future that Britney or one of us could go on that show, or both of us could go on that show. And so people were mad because Tim Pool was pro free speech. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see how pro free speech are when things start to happen. A lot of people have turned out to be anti free speech when people start criticizing them. And I'm not talking about like harassment, like people just like bullying, like name calling, not adding anything to the conversation. I'm just talking about like, hey, why didn't you cover this? Or what do you think about these topics? Or why won't you address this criticism of you? Like the Fresh and Fit thing, where it's like they're all for free speech and being able to say whatever you want, until people point out that Fresh has obviously not slept with 1,000 women. How did Tim cover it up? He didn't talk about it for weeks, and then he had one of his guys do a story on her where they didn't mention the censorship at all and made it focused on her, and he was like, we're going to have Shane Cashman ask the hard questions. He didn't ask her any hard questions, and then he in his third iteration of the article proceeded to shit on all the people reporting on this. I believe committed libel to the extent where Timcast had to take down his article. Yeah. I was talking about the Fresh and Fit thing earlier. Like, nobody believes that Fresh got 1,000 women. I barely believe that Myron got 100. Let's see. No, I don't care about the Andrew Tate allegations. Like, it's too much work to figure out if they're true or not. And Andrew Tate has already publicly admitted he's a bad guy. Now, is he a criminal? That's yet to be determined. But he was already technically sex trafficking girls by open admission on his page, on his no, I didn't interview Sneeko. Sneeko is like really changed as far as I'm aware. Like, he's become a completely different person. I'm not sure what caused that. Like, I remember making a video, I think it was like a Lily Singh video where I complimented his comedy, but like, as far as I've seen, he's really become a different person. For the worse. So whatever he's going through, hopefully he gets over it. 1,000 women in anyone's life is just too unrealistic. Yeah, especially after like he was dating a single mom like a year earlier and was like desperate, and like you want me to believe that you got 1,000 women in like 2 years, when as far as I'm aware, like you were basically had no money. You were like somehow became a multi-millionaire in 4 years when you just moved to the country. No, there's no way. How do I feel about drama as a concept? I think if someone criticizes you, you can like throw your commentary back. But once it becomes like the back and forth, like, that's a good one. Like what like Jeremy from the Courting goes back between like Wings of like him and Wings of Redemption. Let's say the Ethan Klein. Like there was some back and forth between Ethan Klein and Jeremy. And like, okay, 1 or 2 videos on that, great, but like 30, like 10, 15, 20 videos on the same, it gets boring. Nothing gets solved, and everybody ends up. Sneeko is like he's on. Oh, it could be drugs. Yeah, drugs will certainly change a person's personality. So, allegedly, that might be the case. So I don't like the back and forth. And so when I did fortunately, so when the whole Ludwig thing happened last year, I made a video on the BBC and Vice. Yeah, I believe it was the BBC and Vice. They were using the competitive gaming industry to promote affirmative action and sexist policies by giving women in upper, or by, they were affirmative action and censorship by using women are being oppressed in competitive gaming. So Hassan responded to that video, and he's friends with Ludwig, so he was probably like, hey, or no, sorry, well, he's friends with Ludwig, one of the people involved, and so I put a Apex YouTuber that goes by It's Timmy in the video because he was handling offensive commentary appropriately and because he's really, really good at something. So I always want to show people who are really skilled. And so apparently he's super woke, and Hassan was like, dude, look at this guy who fucking made this video saying good things about you. And then Timmy posted that on Twitter, and then Ludwig reacted to it. So there was a whole drama thing going on there. I spent 5 weeks, holy crap, that's why I don't make drama videos. I spent 5 weeks responding to a good portion of the people who reacted to my content, because what I want to do is just kind of like here's my reaction to all this shit that people have been asking me to react to. And so it was like Vosh, Hassan, and Ludwig, and then some smaller YouTuber named Green is Not Nick or whatever, but didn't really have anything interesting to say. So I went over, here's all the general things that they do. They tend to straw man your arguments. They'll name call instead of making arguments, or they don't do any sort of good faith interpretation, or they say things like, this person bad, therefore disagree with them, and then they like get into the arguments. So sorry, it's so hard to like breathe through my nose because I'm still sick. So my mouth breathe a little bit so I can catch up. So I made that video, and it's like, once this video is released, I'm not going to sit there and be like, if they respond to it, great. If they don't, I'm going to ignore it. And fortunately, because I could probably ignore it if Hassan responded to that video. Vosh responded to it, and I definitely ignored it. Vosh didn't have anything new to say. There's no reason to make another argument, a video of me just arguing the same points. And then fortunately, Ludwig didn't respond to it, because if Ludwig would respond to it, he's such a big YouTuber, I would have to make another response video. If he responded it with negative feedback. So I'm fine with like one person says their thing, person responds, but I don't like the constant bad. The same thing I have a problem with bad faith debates. They just become like a pissing contest, or they just become people flinging crap at each other, and it doesn't really become about the ideas. I think that's Hassan is a millionaire socialist. I think Hassan is a multi-millionaire socialist. Yeah, and like, weirdly enough, Hassan comes from a rich background, comes from a background where his uncle got paid millions of dollars to start a company called the Young Turks that now just, holy crap, they slander a lot of people and they'll get in trouble for it. Vosh grew up in Beverly Hills. Carlos Maza, the Carlos Maza who started one of the Adpocalypse things, was a trust fund kid of like a multi-million-dollar fortune. Oddly enough, these people seem to be just rich kids who haven't really done anything in their life, or didn't have to like struggle a lot. People are asking about the previous drama. I'm not going to address that. Like, I've already said it, and there's nothing more that needs to be said. Lots of people in the chat asking me questions I've already answered. Go to the other live streams. I don't want to keep answering the same questions over and over again. Let's see. How I've been binging your channel. Yeah, it was unfortunate someone said I like it to me. Yeah, it's unfortunate they had to make it political. Like, I don't like people in, like, if you're in comedy, if you're in gaming, if you're in, well, maybe comedy's a little bit more free because you can talk about politics and comedy. But if you're in these spaces that are unrelated, there's no reason to get political. Like, you're basically Because it's very likely the case that people are just there to watch him play Apex, and then he just shit on half of his audience, who have views that are similar to mine. Like, I don't like that a lot of the bands I listened to as a kid just went full on woke and were like, you know, you can have your political ideology and that's fine, but then don't sit there and say everybody who supports this political ideology, I wish they would just off themselves or go away, and just basically insulting people who were previously fans. I found that a lot of the bands that I listened to as a kid have that ideology. So those bands can F off. Who the hell is Bluey? Yeah, some of these people say some pretty bad stuff. Oh, did that come out on stream? So what was that? No, my phone's like not even anywhere near it. That's right there. Were you ever an emotional, less critical person? Probably. Yeah, I don't know where that buzz came from. I've never heard it before on this microphone. Do I like Rage Against the Machine? Didn't they like... I mean, I liked them in the Tony Hawk game. Is it the second one? But they would like run around with Che Guevara shirts. Do you know, like, if you actually done research in your history and know who Che Guevara was, like, holy crap, that was an evil person. Why have you been... I'll say this again, and actually, I'm getting to the point where I want to end this, so I'll do a little thing. So I am still making videos. The reason I'm streaming is to supplement and have another creative outlet, because there's a lot of things I can't talk about. The stuff we talked about today are things I can't make a video on, because YouTube will just, like, it would take probably 2 or 3 weeks to make it, and YouTube would just demonetize it, and then ground feedback, thank you. YouTube would just demonetize it, and then that would basically, like, I would have to take a massive pay cut to cover it, to the point where I couldn't afford things. Like, I already had to do that with the Ludwig video. I had to take a huge pay cut to make that Ludwig video, or the one on the response to Ludwig, Hassan, and Vosh. So I've been trying to find different ways where I can cover this shit and stuff, and not like, and still in a way that doesn't like make it so I can't afford rent. Why don't you move to Spotify? Isn't Spotify just as woke? Didn't they remove a ton of Joe Rogan episodes? So that's why I wanted to start streaming. There's also other reasons that you can get more interaction with your audience and stuff like that. And it's a hedge, because Rumble isn't really a video platform. Rumble is more of a streaming platform. So if anything ever happens, I can move right into Rumble and have people in the audience that are already used to streaming. So, but yeah, I love making videos, so I'm not going to stop doing that. And I'm already working on the next one. Oh, but in the case, so as I said earlier in the stream, one of the things you can do I don't want to make shorts. I don't have any interest in that. One of the things that you guys can do to help, of course, things like donations and praise are helpful. Thank you for all that. But one of the things you can do to help is, if you see a video, if you see some woke crap, if you see something that's really interesting to watch, something on Instagram or Facebook, or do people use Facebook, or Twitter? If you see something interesting, send it to my request email. You can find that on my About page. It's thinkbeforeyousleeprequest@gmail.com. You can also send it to me on Twitter via message request. So my Twitter is @TBOIStweet. And so sending me content helps me make content faster, because one of the crappy things about getting older as a content creator is that it gets more and more difficult to cover things that are new. So audience help with that would be great. And a reason why I was able to, like, basically what happens is that the audience requests started going way down for some reason. Maybe since I started doing longer and longer videos and stopped interacting with the audience as much and making less community posts. Maybe that was my fault, but I guess they're streaming to kind of remedy that. So obviously the more audience requests I get to cover things, the easier it is for me to kind of look through and filter what would be interesting in general, and that would be helpful. By the way, if you send me a DM on Twitter or a message on Gmail or something like that, and I don't respond, just because I didn't respond doesn't mean I didn't read it. I typically read everything, but I don't always have time to respond, because responding can take hours. Like, responding to a couple of emails can take hours a lot of times. So That's why. So just because I didn't say anything doesn't mean I didn't see it. Though usually I try to say something. Can you start analyzing Reddit posts for life advice? I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say I would want to like a Reddit or Discord associated with me because it makes it really like what I've seen a lot happen is that people will infiltrate people's Discords and say a bunch of offensive crap and then get them canceled. It just seems too easy. What the hell? I haven't seen Puss in Boots. Or was there anything interesting that any super chats I haven't read? JCat Animations $1 super chat. Thank you, or Canadian $1. Don't forget that's $5 super chat for Nati. Don't forget that sketchy video with Ian Crossland and Eliza. Yeah, there's probably some things that were going on there that Tim Cass is worried about, and I would imagine that in the future it's probably not a great idea to have a frat house where you produce content. It seems like an easy way for a lot of drama and a lot of things that you can be sued for to happen. Max $20 super chat. Love your content. Oh yeah, Adam said I already responded with that. Yeah, maybe. All right, and that's pretty much everything. I still have no idea how to end these. Like, is there some sort of like, I guess promotion of social media? I already did that. Twitter, mostly just promoting people. Send me shit. Send me shit I can look at and respond to. Those are though again, well, basically I had to go through lots and lots of content to find something that's useful in videos. But the more people help me filter through some of that content, the easier it gets to make good videos. I hear YouTube. So far they have not, and I don't think Shorts is going to be just from how I've seen people interact with TikTok. I think it's a stupid move to move into Shorts. I like that they've created different tabs so that you can have Shorts without flooding your main feed. But like, I don't know. It didn't work with Vine. I don't see it being very easily monetizable on TikTok. People who do Shorts and monetize them say they make basically no money on lots of views. So I don't know why YouTube is pushing so hard for Shorts. It seems like a very stupid financial decision. Matane. There, I spoke Japanese. All right, anyway. I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes figuring out how to turn the stream off. Should TikTok be banned outright? I don't have the answer to that question. All right, anyway. Let's see.